We've just about finished with forms and what we can actually do with it on a client. We really need a server to be able to move forward with this one. So I'm going to finish this one off and then maybe start thinking about clients and languages. What I want to do is sort of look at JavaScript, which is client-side scripting, so I'll do a little bit of JavaScript before I sort of put all of this to bed and then move over to a server and try and explain how that's all working. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually get rid of this table, the top table with the colours. I don't need that anymore. I only wanted that just to show me where the form was. So now I've just got my form. And forms are really the only way to communicate with web pages. So if I refresh my page, I've just got my form. So if people fill this out and then click submit, I'm expecting something to happen. And in fact it has. I'm just going to refresh the web page. No, maybe go back. There we go. If you look on here at the very end after HTML, at the moment it's blank. If I press submit, it puts a question mark, and after that question mark there would be variables which would be passed to another page for processing. It's called a get, and we will have a look at that shortly. So I'm just going to take that out and go back to the normal page. So variables, what do I mean by variables? Well, I've got first name, username and password. I might want to pass them. So if I do this, if I name that as first name, I'm almost creating a variable as we do in a normal program. Save that and refresh the page. You don't really see anything. We've got the get. If I click submit this time, you can see that the variable is now included in the address. So all I did was change or give this box here the variable first name, and when I press submit, that passed the information into the address bar, and now I've got a method of transferring things across. So I'm going to do that with the other ones. I'm going to create name equals username and name equals password. So I'm giving an attribute on each one of these, and the attribute that I'm giving it is what I would call a variable name. And in fact it is, because in the next series of programs, when we start looking at client-side programming, these will start to become variables that we use. So if I save that, refresh my page, and click on submit, you can see I've now got first name joined to username joined to password, and this might start to become familiar to you when you've seen other web pages that all of a sudden have a question mark and then some strange things after it, and they're pretty much the variables. And it's quite dangerous to do this, as you can see, because everything's available. So if I type into here Joe blogs and the password let me in, when I press submit, it's passing that information. First name equals Joe, username equals blogs, and password is let me in. Can you imagine how much fun that would be if every time somebody typed in a password and pressed submit, you could see what their password was in the address bar? So that is called a get routine. There are two routines, and really this is for A level. Not necessary at GCSE to understand everything that's happening here, but again, it's something that you will understand, but you won't need to reproduce. So when I did that, actually, I haven't tried this one out myself. If I just take that action out of there, save it, I'm just wondering if I get rid of the question mark. The question mark appears. Okay, sorry about that. Right, so in here we need to say we need to give an action and a method, two attributes, and we need to give them some values. Now the method can be one of two values. There is either post or get. That's all you can do. But the action, a little bit weird, would be better if they said which web page you want to send it to. We'll go to a web page. Now the problem is it has to be on a server. It's not going to work off a server. So I'm going to create a new web page here. File, new, and I'm just going to say this page is showing, and I'm going to save that as in my web pages folder, response.php. Now I've used a PHP extension because that is a server-side language. We saw PHP that we could use, and it's the only thing, or you could use ASP, the only thing that will take these variables and play around with them. But I need to have a file. There we go, in my folder, because the action is, well, what file am I sending it to do the processing? So action is a file, method is how I'm sending it, and I've chosen get. And what we're seeing up here is get. It's question mark followed by all the variables and the data in the address bar. Not brilliant. So if I now save that and then refresh my page, fill it in, have that as A, B, okay, we'll have blogs, C, and click submit. What I want you to notice is that not only has it sent my information, it's opened up the response.php page, and that also contains all the information, as you can see, and it's printed this page is showing. So that is ready to sort of process my data. But again, I wouldn't just want people to have my username and password just thrown up on their screen. So that is the difference, or not difference, but that is what's happening with action. It's sending it to a page, and the method get is putting it in the address bar. I did say there were two methods, and the second one was post, so I'm going to change that to post. Now what happens with post is it does not send the information on the address bar. It sends it in the body of the document. So you should not be able to see the secret messages that are being sent. So if I save that program again, refresh my browser, let's take that out. There we go. Now let's put Joe in, let's put Smith, so that we know we've got different values, and let's type a password which is secret and click submit. Now what you'll notice is a little bit different, because the address does not contain the question mark and does not contain all the password, username and every detail. it's opened up the page that I wanted, response.php, and it's shown this message on the screen to show that I've got it. But in the previous one, when we used get, when I hovered over it or looked at the tab, it also gave me the information that was being passed. So if you've got some sensitive information like first name, username and password, then in your code for your form, when you send that to the particular page, then there is only one way of doing it, and that is post. And really, you should probably use post the majority of the time, because anybody who can see things on the screen can sort of change them. So get will show you everything. So let me try that one again. Let's do a get to show you. So when I press submit, oh, I've got to reload the page. There we go, click submit. Everything is visible. It started up the new page and everything is visible. Notice also that it's overwritten the page. I have to keep pressing back to go to it. We could change that in the form. If you remember, we did that with target equals blank. I think we can do that target equals blank here. And I think this one is underscore blank. Save that, refresh the page, yes, and submit, and there we go. So that's kept my original page open with the data, and it opened up the new page with all the details. And again, if I change that, close that down, if I change that back to method is post, save it, refresh the page, Joe, I'll have Joe, that would be good, blogs, I'll put very secret, none of that information will be showing. So there we go, it's opened up a new page, response.php. Yeah, I've still got my original page. Might have been nice if I'd have sort of deleted these things so they couldn't see it. But I've got no information showing on there, I've got no information showing there, and no information showing there, which is pretty good. However, there's nothing I can do with it. It's on the client, and the client cannot process information that's passed to it. That has to be done on a server. So really, now we've come to the end of pretty much all I wanted to show you with formatting up a page and how to play with it. We're now getting into the theory side, which will be useful for your exam, but that might take a bit more understanding and a bit more practice. So we'll probably take a look at JavaScript next, very, very simply, nothing too complicated. Just, I'm not even going to go through the language. I might show you one or two features of it, such as, you know, sequence iteration and selection. But I just want to show you that it's part of a client-side scripting language. It doesn't work on the server, and how we write it. So we'll probably take a look at that in the next video.